Hello everyone, my name is Paige and today I'm going to be showing how to play Star Survivors. Star Survivors is a surprisingly deep custom map mod in the style of Vampire Survivors. There's currently fairly little content of it on YouTube and very little that shows off advanced play. I'm a challenge runner and balance tester for this game, and so I felt uniquely qualified to provide some deeper insight. Not the only challenge runner in the game, I'm not the only player who's very good at it, but I'm hoping my input is useful to somebody. The first thing that you want to do starting any game before you go into any shop is try and get this golden drone, try and get the queen from the closest hatch. You don't have to kill it, you just want to try to aggro it, and you want to get as many minerals as possible. Raynor generally has a pretty good early game. See, we got 5 during that. Because he has the scaling with each level that quickly starts him to 2-shot links, to 2-shot roaches, and to kill stuff with his grenade. Now, we're going to be doing a marine mine build this game. And the reason for this is that marines and mines complement each other really well, especially if you're not using any hero tactics, any medevac. At a basic level, if you're just trying to use unit DPS, marines and mines work really well together because the evolve synergy for mines is munitions, which helps marines the most, and the evolve synergy for marines that we're going to be using is Raynor's default Stim, which helps mines because mines are better the more often they're attacking. Now, actually starting a game on mines is pretty tricky because mines destroy minerals for their first couple of levels. They only start actually improving your minerals after they evolve. Generally speaking, you want to evolve a unit as fast as possible, and with Marine Mine, you want to evolve, ideally Marine and Mine, very early. Now for the other units, we're going to want Ghosts, Vikings or Goliaths, and Widow Mines or Banshees or something like that. So Viking is here, so that means we're also going to get Afterburners eventually. That's easier than just leveling up Special Ordnance. We take more levels in Widow Mine whenever possible. So since we're getting Viking, we're not going to get Goliath. We banish these, because none of these are relevant to us this game. I'm tempted to take Marine, but the closer we get to an evolved mine, the better. We'll take the Marine. Every level of munitions makes Marines stronger, more so than any other unit. So we want to really leverage that Marine and munition synergy. Normally, if we were using any other unit first, I would want to just keep putting points into mines to level them up as fast as possible. But because mines don't really carry on their own, I'm taking the Marine, and if we don't level up the mine all the way for a while, that's fine. The main thing is we don't want to spread our points out too thin. We don't want to be leveling up passives too much until we have all of our units. We don't want to be leveling up units like flatly. We want to try to target down evolutions. And my shop logic is going to be towards that direction. That's okay. 7 points, yeah, that's quite a bit to work with. We're going to go for the Marine. So, Munitions gives 2, Marine gives +1 Marine and 2, so we take that here. We don't really want to put a point into Viking, and we don't want either of these this game, so we're just going to banish. And see, that made it easier to select mine. Ghost we're eventually going to pick up, and we don't want to waste the point going into one of these, so we're just going to grab Ghost. We care more about the Marine damage than the Ghost damage right now, so we take the Munitions. Mine. And this is a terrible level. We don't want any of these, so we ready. You can ready instead of spending points, and we still have them afterwards. And that's a key time to do that when you're out of banishes, but you don't necessarily want to take anything that's there. In general, in the early game, you want to be banishing more than re-rolling, unless you're sure that something is there that you'll want, but you don't want to take it right now. I'd rather just take it right now and get the extra points. So mine is now in chest range. You can only evolve by grabbing a chest, so we are just going to break our way through this aberration wall, which drops money, and try and get a chest before the next shop. We're not going to be able to do that. So instead, we're going to try to focus on our next goal, which is upgrading Marines. There they are. There they are. Can we get it? Yes. So now, the next 2 green chests, or the next 1 chest we get, the next 1 chest of any rarity higher, is going to level us up completely. It's going to level up our mine and our Marine. Being at level 8 with 2 units, and particularly Marine with a couple levels of munitions, means we can walk up to layers. Raynor, still without any hero buffs, just from leveling up as we have been, is plenty strong to continue carrying us so long as we have decent unit coverage. Now we have the Junker Mine. Instead of destroying minerals, the Junker Mine actually improves them. Because we're not using any other major money buffs this game, except we're going to pick up radius, we really benefit from that extra, from the extra minerals, because we otherwise don't do, because we have such expensive passives. Like, we have Stim, we have Ordnance, we have Munitions. Those are the 3 most expensive unit buffing passives in the game. And having the extra money from mines balances that out. We take advanced optics for the ghost synergy. We recheck our banish because I wanted to make sure we didn't get rid of anything we needed. And we take the Junker Mine level. Junker Mine, we want to get to its evolved level 3 as fast as possible in particular, because at that point it starts targeting instantly. We're not going to be too worried about picking up the bounties until we can basically just walk over to there. We don't want to go there too early with this build. Because we don't really get a lot out of having extra bounties. So we just keep moving. Now, one of the key strategies to managing your early game in particular is not spending too long picking up minerals, and instead just trying to pick up the important ones. So, well, right now we're using the Widow Mine ability, so it's just going to suck everything up, right? But when we're just playing normally, I'm not going to pick up every blue. I'm not going to pick up every yellow once greens are common. I'm not going to pick up every green while reds are common. There's Afterburners. That's going to be important for our Vikings. And now we just need 1 more unit and pick up radius. And we're not getting either, which is fine, which is completely fine. If anything, that makes it easier. So, for evolutions, we have Marines and Stim, we have Mines and Munitions, we have Vikings and Afterburners, we have Ghosts and Vision, and so we have the spare passives of Ordnance and Pickup Radius and 1 unit. So our last unit is either going to be Marauders or Banshees. Both are good with this build. Either is fine. I prefer Marauders, but we're usually not going to evolve it before pretty late into the game, because we want to evolve the Marines, the Mines, and then the Ghosts first, just because the Ghost is such an effective evolution. Here, Pickup Radius would be making us a lot faster. More levels in Afterburners would also be making us a lot faster. But as were limited, even though we were given the option to take Marauder there, we had the option to upgrade one of our effective passives, and we already have good evolutions, so we're delaying taking the unit. We're in no rush to go wide. We almost always want to go tall, especially in the early game. It's really a shame there that the mine didn't kill those units, because then it would have potentially upgraded them, or upgraded the mineral that came out of them. But you see, just getting the purple mineral is really, really nice. And then we can clear the rest of this just by pushing the Widowmine button. And yeah, and that's why we use Widowmine for this build. See, this late into the game, we're getting 14 points for attempting this hive clear. And this is the Hydra phase. Hydra, it tends to be the wave where I'm judging whether or not a build is in a comfortable place. We're in a very comfortable place right now. Just upgrading our evolved units further. Do we take Stim? Do we finally pick up Marauder? If we take Marauder, we stop getting suggestions of units we don't want. But we're still going to focus on upgrading our other units first. I'm gonna take Afterburners. I don't think we need the full damage on the Widowmine that quickly. The Ghost. Okay, now we'll do that. And make sure I didn't accidentally banish the pickup radius. I didn't. Cellular Reactor. We're just literally not getting it. Yeah. Oh well. That's fine. RNG will sometimes make it harder to grab one passive or another, one unit or another. It usually won't hold you back too long if you're just persistent, if you're careful. If you have a passive in mind that you want to get, it's usually better to wait for it and save points than to try to rush it. Now, speaking of saving points, we have 3 units evolved as Raynor. Now is a great time to start saving points for the artifact phase. Artifacts are a huge sink of points. They cost 15 points total to unnerf. And so we want to save those points before we get the passives so that we don't get preemptively, or so that we can unnerf them as soon as possible. So for our black markets, we don't care about hero cooldown with this build. Raynor's Flask is nice. Overclock we don't need to be casting too often because by the late game, it's going to be more about our units. So we take high grade Stim Pack because movement speed is one of the best tools in this game. The Afterburners and Smart Servos are 2 of the best passives, and I like to play builds where both of those are used together, but in this case, each of the passives we have is super important. Ghosts are really, really good for covering the late game before we have our bounties online. And pickup radius is going to be really, really nice for just efficiency. Pickup radius is also a thing that speeds us up. It speeds us up and gives us money because we need to spend less time and we get all of the minerals, but we haven't gotten it yet, so we're just staying patient. We are still going to be spending our points as we go currently just because we want to try to increase the chances of getting pickup radius. So yeah, we'll take Afterburners. And since we have this last point, if we pick something, nothing will happen anyway, so we just ready. Now, here I could come up and clear this hatch, but I want to be getting bounty money faster, so we usually want to aim for 5 bounties by the end of post-game. That's a good pace for any build. Some builds can hit 6. If you hit 4, that's alright, but it's not ideal. Yeah, this is the weakest bounty enemy, generally speaking. They have a lot of damage, so if you're not dealing enough damage to kill them, they could pose a problem, but they're also the lowest health compared to the other bounties. Yeah, at this phase, we're feeling very safe. There's Cellular Reactor. I'm saving that last point. We have it now, so if we pick up chests, it'll just develop naturally. Just run around that. You don't want to attack it too often, because that will bait it to damage you. I'll show you the workaround hero builds do about that when we get to hero builds. But as is for a lot of the bounties, you just want to run around them while your units do the job of clearing them. we're coming up to this very entrenched layer. We're going to pop our mine ability just to make clearing this a little faster and get a lot of money from it. Especially at this phase in the game, we're not going to be getting as many points from that. See, that was only just 1 extra point, but it was enough. And now, for this phase of the game, from 15 minutes to 5 minutes, we're just going to be chasing objectives around the map. We're playing on a standard 2-player map because the standard 2-player maps punish speed less. So if you have high speed, they're still pretty good, but they need speed less. And speed is already really good. There's no reason to make it even stronger. Now, speaking of speed being really good, this particular artifact reduces movement speed, so we're not going to pick it up until much later when we have a lot of points. We're just going to have to remember to come back here. This is a tactic I highly recommend once you're really comfortable. It can make it a lot more comfortable to survive these phases where the game should be pretty straightforward, but you can make the game a lot harder for yourself if you're not careful. Here's Molten Sal. We're just going to walk directly towards him, and that's how you avoid taking too much damage from his lava breath. Now here we're doing so much damage that it doesn't matter, but that's an important tactic. In general, you just want to stay away from threats, and you'll be perfectly safe. We're going to grab this artifact. It's only 40 seconds. This is the armor one. We're not taking any damage. And there we go. And that's a save points and remove artifacts. Now we have enough money for another black market cache. Mount damage versus rapid recruitment. Rapid recruitment primarily makes our ghosts and Vikings more effective, also our marauders, whereas mount damage makes our Widowmine more effective. The thing that really holds back our Widowmine is the attack speed, not the actual damage, so we're going to take rapid recruitment. This, and even the movement speed, aren't going to do anything for a long time. Usually, like well-optimized builds, playing at a good pace, aren't going to see much value out of caches until at least Zagara, but sometimes not even until post-game. So, more so worry about setting up what's good then, not what might look good now. This is probably going to show off the movement tech against Molten Sal a little better. No, it's not. He's just going to blow up. But the trick for Molten Sal to avoid his breath is to move command, so press M left click to go through him. In regular StarCraft, move commanding is, I would say, pretty difficult to do reliably, but it's not much of a problem here. So if you have no spare points, I'm just going to blow up these vaults and grab the money from them. Not going to worry about actually picking up the artifacts until much, much later. Just because, yeah, we're broke. We don't have any points. And, taking the debuffs as the squads are starting to get a little stronger is a great way to die. Now for health management, Raynor has a lot of leeway because of Raynor's Flask. I cast it pretty much on cooldown, and I try not to take damage, but I'm human. So again, we're offered cooldown. It's pretty good with Flask and Overclock, but we're going to take the racks. And then we're going to save this point. But the Tarrasque wall is usually pretty easy to blow up. Though I'd say the Ultra wall is probably the least dangerous wall. See, a lot of people try to stay away from Molten Sal and try to bait the lava, just go straight towards him. The Tarrasque wall is somehow still up. Currently, as of this patch, the Tarrasque wall is the only one that doesn't provide you with any money. It takes a little bit of comfort to get used to looking at the minimap for artifact pieces. So there's one here, there's one here, there's, I think, one up there. There's one over here, and we have one here. So if you're not used to looking for the map for the artifact pieces late game, it can be a little tricky to actually spot them all. Got to mention we get the black market for finishing all of the hatches. You might think that on a larger map that's harder. It's really not. But on a larger map, you do get a lot more hives and a lot more chests. So you you get a lot more powerful. If you're struggling with the game, you can play on a larger map with a lot of movement speed and have a really good time. But I prefer to play on the smaller maps. We have a couple of extra points now, so now I'm okay taking the unit attack speed debuff, just to have it while I'm here. I swear I grabbed that chest. Now we're going to head over and snipe him. So yeah, this phase of the game, we're just jumping back and forth between objectives, trying to squeeze out what points we can, but we're not going to like stick around and grab too much money unless we see like a little clump like that. Most of the money we get, we're going to get like incidentally while passing stuff. We're going to get elites that spawn. When we loop around back, we're going to kill a lot of stuff that was chasing us, and we're going to get a lot of money that we otherwise missed out on. Now, before I spend this last point and accidentally close the shop, I'm going to go to the black market. We can increase mount damage. We can increase hero damage. Hero damage does nothing for us. Cooldown does quite a bit because it gives us free healing and overclock. I'm still going to go for the mount damage this time because there's a lot of threats late game that Raynor or that Widow Mines don't snipe without some support, and the mount damage helps actually allow that to happen. We're reaching the late point where not having the artifacts on us is going to start hurting, so we want to go and grab all of them. You know, consequences be damned. Grabbing the movement speed debuff. I'm going to go to get this obelisk. We also want to grab this one. You want to keep track of which ones we haven't gotten. I've clearly missed one. I'm tempted to say it's over here, but that doesn't look right. Yeah. There's some issues with trying to rely on the map icons, in my opinion, but you have time, it's fine. Oh, it's right over here. Yeah. Movement speed is by far the biggest problem artifact-wise. You'd want to unlevel that as soon as you can, but, you know, our build is very finished. We're just trying to evolve our last few units, or our Marauder, really, and we're otherwise perfectly safe. Because of that, we're okay taking the debuffs, because we know that we will survive with them. A well-finished army that's debuffed is still going to do pretty well. Obviously, you'd prefer not to have the debuffs, but you're not under much tension. After killing a bounty, you want to head towards the center of the map, so that you can be as close to the next bounty as possible. The effectiveness of a build at clearing bounties varies quite a bit. We still have movement speed debuff, so we want to undo that ASAP, and that's what we're going to spend our rerolls on. Unit damage is still pretty good, and then, yeah, movement speed. The chests that we pick up at this point will help. See, they'll target artifacts, but because we still have unfinished units, namely the Marauder, and did have a lot more at the time, we didn't want to save chests on the ground because they were going to just give us those unit buffs anyway. It wasn't really worth hedging the RNG. Popping mine whenever you want to just walk through a space like this is really, really good. Because we want to go down and get the next bounty. Watching out for this text and just watching the map is really good for making sure that you can keep up on the bounty farm. The more bounties you get, the better off you are. Particularly for the late game. Another Molten Sow. And this one's not going to die instantly, so I can show this off. Just move in a triangle around him, and he either won't fire the lava breath, or the lava breath won't be able to hit you. His actual model looks scary, but it's not. It doesn't have a melee attack, it barely has collision. So the purple banelings are really scary, but if your build's in a comfortable place, you're not going to really have much issue with them. A somewhat safe tactic against them, if you time it right, is to run towards them, because when they leap, they'll actually overshoot. In this case, they're dying before that even happens. The Zagara phase, if you're doing a lot of challenge runs, is going to be really, really familiar to that Widowmine is trying. Since we're finished on artifacts, we just put the rest of our points into the upgrade cache, is what I would say if we didn't have Marauders unevolved. Instead, we're going to save the points and finish evolving Marauders as soon as possible. You can shift-click the bounty button to spend them all, spend all of your points ASAP, but here we're not doing that. Just stay moving, just stay moving. There's no real indicator for when Widowmine comes back up. If you're playing a Widowmine build, you want to have good coverage otherwise. So if you don't look at our mine, we have Marine, Ghost, and Viking, which is really good anti-ground, really good anti-air, really good single target, really good just cover incidental damage. So we're not really leaning on the Widowmine, but we are really happy about it. Widowmine is very much a win more unit. And it's also a good way to add money to a unit because your options for passives as Raynor are limited. You only have the 5. Yeah, we still haven't grabbed a chest recently. I missed that one purple chest over there, so we're just going to go head over to there after we get this bounty. Alright, Kerrigan can chase us down and give us a free chest. Thank you, Kerrigan. We're a little low on health here, so we want to be a little conscientious. We don't want this to freeze us. And yeah, we're good. Now our Marauders are evolved. Now the benefit of Marauders, the reason we don't want to level them up too early is because they don't do a lot of good damage in terms of wave clear. They deal really good damage against ground armored targets, but the main thing they do is slow big threats down. That hasn't really been relevant to us until now, or until after the Leviathan phase. Slowing down Hybrid and slowing down Kerrigans is the main reason we want Marauders in this comp over something like Banshees, which just add more incidental ground damage. You can play Banshees instead of Marauders. You can play with servos and take Goliaths instead of Vikings. This is a really flexible build. If you want to only have passives that are in the same range, like in that upgrade your units, you can replace something with resocialization, so you can have extra ghosts and extra Vikings in particular. Vikings are really, really important for making late game wave anti-air clear really, really good. Vikings also deal a lot of damage just generally, so they're very nice against the obelisks of the post game. But even here, they're making the Leviathan phase like nothing to worry about. This is the writing off phase. We're not going to be able to get here within 5 seconds, and we're certainly not going to be able to kill it, so we're just going to float around here and grab money. At 12 money going into the post-Amon phase, or the hybrid phase, we are fully set to kill obelisks. The obelisks have dropped 3 money for each of them, so you're always going to get 7 obelisks on single player. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you're always going to get 21 money. Our next cash costs 25, so we just need to kill 4 of these? Don't do math while recording. We need to actually kill 5 of these. Yeah, we need to kill 5 of these to get our next bounty, but we're going to kill all 7. We want to fight Amon properly. I'm going to just grab these guys for the money. Notice the slow. That makes having around this time really convenient and is why we have Marauders in this phase. There's nothing else to spend money on at this point, so we put all of our points into black market cash, even though we don't even have all of the black market caches we need, because it levels them all up at the same time. As you see, we only have about 30-ish levels in cache right now, so we're not really getting much, but by the end of this we're going to have a lot more. We're going to have at least 60, but possibly over 100. We get so many levels during the post-game. The black market is really a post-game mechanic. And as you see, we're at a pretty good amount of extra going into this phase of the game. So, you know, if you're not picking up the bounties as rapidly as I was during the early game, that's completely fine. You can still get to 5 bounties, or to 5 caches. So during this phase, you got to play a little bit safely, because these new hybrid zealots can get very aggressive, but Marines are excellent at dealing with them. With munitions, you just need the munitions and the Ordnance and Stim, and Warpix can get through them. You don't want to be held back too far because you want to kill all of these obelisks, but you know, that's why Biomine can help you stay moving. Similarly, because we're not dealing with air right now, we can position near the obelisks and let the Vikings handle them, while the Marines handle the units. Now, I forgot to actually grab extra money, so we're going to have to wait another shot before we get our final black market cache, but that's fine. Just take it easy. We have the Marauders buying us a lot of space. We have Marines and Ghosts handling everything. Ghosts are really, really good against high damage targets. They really shine in that like mid-game where there's just a couple Ultras coming at us and the Ghosts obliterate them, and they shine in the late game now, where there's a lot of times where we're just alone against the hybrid and need to blow it up. But they're never bad. They're one of the most universal units in the game. I'm not using Raynor's Flask here, just in case I need the heal later. But thank you, Biomine. So what do we want to take as our last one? Factory upgrade will upgrade our Biomine and nothing else. The starport upgrade will upgrade our Viking. Viking is helping against these, and it's going to help in a couple of the later phases, and in particular it's going to help against Amon. And since it's firing constantly, I think it's better than upgrading mine, which we're mainly just using to get rid of these zealots. What are these called? I need to click one before it dies. But yeah. There's a munitions bounty that would be really, really good to get, but we weren't lucky enough to get it. It's fine. There's an attack speed bounty we'd really want with this build. The movement speed passive is already giving us 30% extra movement speed, so you know, at 40% it's giving us the same amount that Afterburners gives us, which is really, really good. The more movement speed we have, especially combined with the slow, the safer we're going to be against all of these late game threats. These Void Thrashers, that's part of why we wanted to upgrade the Vikings. Void Thrashers die really quickly to very focused damage, especially if they're alone, and since there's nothing else for the Vikings to hit, because they blow up the new Corruptor secret missile things, the Vikings are able to burn them. So see, this is nice chill playstyle. This is not the strongest build in the game by far. In fact, of the builds I'm going to be showing off, this one is the weakest in my opinion. But the idea here is that it has all of its bases covered well enough that just playing it normally, you're going to be fine. You don't need any of the caches we have set up. Like, there's 2 caches I mentioned that we didn't pick up. We could have also grabbed cooldown if you got that option. You could grab the health if you need. I don't know if I'm starting to become inaudible with the sound of the game, but yeah. This is just a run-through of what's going through my head at this point in the game, and how, you know, if you've struggled at this point, maybe seeing how I got here could help you have an easier time. And if you like playing on larger maps than I do, then perhaps you're having like an even easier time because you're getting all those extra chests, all that extra money. Yeah, using the mine ability to deal with the sudden flood of Thrashers is pretty clutch at this phase of the game, but it's not necessary. The Vikings could have gotten it. The Marauders also do really well. You do want these to die before the timer runs out, because otherwise the units will disappear for Amon's phase, I believe. And if not, well, they drop both cash money and or Starbucks, as they're called. And they drop chests. Every chest we get is going to give us a lot of points. If you pick up a chest when it wouldn't give you anything, like when it wouldn't level up anything naturally, it just gives you points to spend it. yeah, we're about to dump 22 points into caches. So now we just kite Amon. I'm not even sure if Marauders are slowing him, but even the Vikings and the Ghosts by themselves are handling this really well. Even though we started on Marines, they're actually not too important for our late game. And that's why, like, really thinking about your evolve order is important, right? Because even though the Marines aren't doing much of the work, they were really, really nice for clearing the early game quickly and covering us against the rushers. A lot of the best comps don't actually have that many units. In fact, this is more units that I'm used to playing with. Even with Raynor, sometimes I just don't grab a 5th unit. But the advantage of multiple units is that you can cover your bases with absolute solutions rather than just trying to leverage a high cash flow. Amon generally struggles with terrain like this, so kiting him through it is really important. A high movement speed is really important for dodging the various attacks. After you clear his health bar a couple of times, you would need to go and kill these obelisks that he summons in order to get rid of him. During this, he's also summoning sentinels, that's what they're called. So, you know, staying moving is your #1 survival tactics. Avoiding all of the various terrain additions, avoiding these guys, ideally killing them separate from Amon so that either your DPS isn't hurt, or your, you know, you're not distracted by them, they're not walling you off. The Amon's struggling to get around this terrain, dodge the Toho attack, as it's affectionately referred to, and just burn him down. You're under no rush to kill him. There's no timer, there's no anything, so if you can just kite him safely, you should. These Zealots late game mostly are just giving you money. If you've survived up to this long, that's probably not much of a threat to you. But yeah, they're fun. You want to be a little careful around them just because they can accidentally wall you in, and then while you're walled in, you can get hit by one of these attacks. Everything Amon hits you with can slow you. Look for the safest place. Sometimes you want to stand in that storm if it's the safest place to stand, which it almost was there. But ideally you don't want to stand in it at all. Since we've gotten through 2 obelisk phases, we're just going to pop our Widow Mine, and yep, there we go. And that's how you play Biomine Raynor. I hope this was helpful. I'm going to try to make more of these. But if just this taught you how to play the game a little better, then I've done my job. See you next time.